Hello all, my name is Matthew Lambert and this is my presentation for Module 4, Understanding My Community. I work for Woodward Public Schools in Woodward, Oklahoma, which is in northwest Oklahoma. So to tell you a little bit about the population characteristics of Woodward, some of the demographics. The population is 12,448 people. It is noted we have a high crime rate and drug use in the area. The crime rate is higher than 76% of the other cities and towns in Oklahoma. The population fluctuates greatly, and I'll explain this a little further down in the presentation. 90% white. Some of the school demographics, we are 65.2% white, 26.2% Hispanic. Total population of students is 2,556. There's different schools in the Woodward area. We have a early childhood center. We refer to it as the ECC. It services all pre-K students and kindergarten in Woodward Public Schools. We have 3 elementary schools, and they service grades 1st through 4th. I teach at Highland Park Elementary and teach 3rd and 4th special education. The middle school is grades 5th through 8th. It's a pretty large complex. It's called Middle School North and Middle School South. So on the Middle School South, that's all the 5th and 6th grade students. Middle School North is the 7th and 8th grade students. And of course the high school, which is 9th through 12th. On the high school campus, but fairly separated, there's also an alternative education building. We have a great partnership with High Plains Technology Center, which that's our technical college, and there's a great partnership for the juniors, seniors in high school. Many of them take classes there, and the graduation rate is 82.3%. I'm going to go back to the main demographics of Woodward and tell you all just a little bit about my experience. This is my first year teaching for Woodward. Last year we moved a little too late in order for me to get a teaching job. So I did work for the Department of Human Services and Child Welfare for a year. I was a social worker, a permanency worker there, and so I learned a lot about the population and the many different demographics, which I think will help me greatly when I do become an administrator. Let's talk about a little bit of the customs and traditions. Again, this is hard for me to do as far as Woodward because it is a bigger community that I'm teaching at versus when I taught high school in Sublette. This was very easy. You know, for a small school, you're all involved with those customs, you're all involved with their traditions. However, teaching at an elementary school, it's hard to see what all those customs and traditions are because, of course, we all know that that takes place in the higher education areas, the high school, what have you. But some of the traditions that I noticed, there's fall football, spring basketball, homecoming, all the parties, Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Valentine's Day party. The big tradition in Woodward is called Crystal Christmas, which is a holiday celebration. It lights up Crystal Beach Park, which is a big park with a lake. There's a little picture of it down there. The students I know are encouraged to apply and work at the event. It takes place from the end of November to New Year's. FFA is huge in Woodward as far as the auctions, events at Fairgrounds Center. And this is a huge important aspect in connecting with the community and school. There's the Woodward Fair, the end of August, and also the school's partnership with the Hope Center, which the Hope Center is an outreach program, delivers groceries to people. There's also like a little grocery store. People can go and get their groceries. They have a great connection with the school and those traditions as far as, you know, events, everything to that effect. There's always food drives, things like that. Again, stressing on the importance of agriculture and the Hope Center's importance and influence. Communication channels that are used. Facebook is most widely used. School Status, which is something that's really, really neat. It's an app. There's a weekly radio broadcast from the superintendent. School's website, again, social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etc. I don't know if there's much of the Twitter or Instagram, but as far as the radio, newspapers on broadcast media, that is used. Again, Facebook is used extensively. School Status is used by all teachers and administrators. This is an app on our phone whenever we call parents, whenever we have text parents, it sends out a text. We call from a number that isn't our personal cell phone, but it disguises a number, and they can always call that number back in order to reach us. It also gives a breakdown. You can go online of how you're communicating with your parents, what have you. This is an awesome, awesome tool. And again, Facebook is most effective in order to reach all stakeholders of the community. I think this is different in the communities that you're involved with, but it seems like Facebook is the main one. I'll talk a little bit about Facebook on, there's a Wootown review that's used on Facebook that kind of can have a backlash towards many of our employees, but we'll talk about that a little later. Community groups. I'm going to talk about mainly Highland Park community because that's what I know best. We have a PTO group responsible for various activities. All home games, they come to the grade schools. They sell tattoos. They sell bracelets for $1 each for the kids. The kids love it. This is a great program. Also, we have a mentoring program, which that's chosen by teachers that, the teachers get together. They say, well, this student could use a mentor. This student could benefit from that. It's a great program. However, when I was teaching at Oklahoma City Public Schools, this was back in 08, 09. Chesapeake was huge in the Oklahoma City area. They were our corporate sponsor, and we had a mentor for every single student in our elementary school. And that is something that I would like to partner with the communities because I think it's just invaluable to the students. We have an MDT team that correlates with Western Plains Behavioral Center. We have a behavioral coach that can come in once we get the parents go ahead. These students that need, some extra help as far as behavior, just an extra person there. We coordinate that with them, and that helps them. We have an extreme program, which is our after-school program. We have an outside community liaison that is paid for by 21st Century, that grant program, and they come in and involve the community with those after-school programs, which is wonderful. And there's also language classes available for those that desire to learn English. So I think there's quite a few community groups that facilitate that connection between the community and the school. Some of the economic conditions. CF Industries is our largest employer in Woodward, Oklahoma that is absolutely sustainable. They are a fertilizer plant. They have been here for years and years and years. The oil field industry is huge in Northwest Oklahoma and huge in Woodward. The only thing with that is it creates a huge fluctuation of population. There's loss of employment right now due to the oil field industry, although we're seeing an increase in that once again, which is good. There was a bond passed 7 years ago. All the schools were remodeled. Then what happened, the oil boom tanked, and so it was very difficult for them to find teachers. There were assistant principals that were hired at schools. There are no assistant principals now. They had to do a lot of restructuring. The classes got bigger. There were some programs eliminated. So it seems that Woodward Public Schools, from my understanding, is always trying to change in regards to the economic status of that of oil field, everything to that effect. Political structure. Woodward is a red city. Woodward, Oklahoma, and Woodward County is very conservative. 12.9% are Democrat, 84.9% Republican, 2.7% independent. And who and what yields the most power? I think this comes down to the county commissioners. And, the superintendent has a lot of power in our community. He grew up here, he graduated from here, went to school in Northwest Oklahoma. So him coming back and being superintendent at that school is a big deal. And the mayor. Social tensions. We have all seen these social tensions, I think, heightened in the past years, especially with COVID-19. The protocols here are extremely controversial. The only distant learning was at the beginning of the COVID onset in March 2020 till the end of school year. The whole school year last year was face-to-face. There was no mask mandate. It was only for the visitors when you came into the building. Vaccines are strongly controversial here. Some of the social tensions other than COVID-19, obesity, teenage pregnancy, and tobacco use are much higher usage than the overall state average. And you see that here. Meth is a huge problem in the Woodward community, so we are trying to counteract that. Working at DHS in the past year, I see many times those struggles we have with students, with parents, and everything like that is there something else going on in the environment? Another social tension, and this is common through our school, I talked about Facebook, and I was going to bring this up. It's called Woo Town, and it's a Facebook group. There's really no rules in this group. Everybody, it seems, in Woodward is on this Facebook group, and many people can call out teachers, administrators, everything to that effect, and the discussion really isn't monitored that well. Sometimes it's a big thing in the community, which in my opinion, needs to be stopped. But then again, how do we stop that? Previous community efforts to improve school. Again, there were bond elections in 2015 that improved the construction. The bond passed, raised taxes, and then soon after that, the oil boom tanked, and so that was difficulties. There's a community effort right now that's a big deal in Woodward. It's a recreational facility, of a water recreational facility. Donations are being accepted. They have a $70,000 goal, and there's been $55,000 raised, but this is just for the conceptual design phase. And it did state that 89% of the community support this, which would be great, in my opinion, for the community of Woodward. Multicultural issues. The Hispanic community is well represented. We have an EL program. The Hispanic Catholic community is highly involved. Economic status seems to be not an issue with our, poverty people, anything to that effect. I like the diverse school setting and diverse school system. It seems that we really concentrate on the diversity, and there's a high level of acceptance versus political affiliations. Public opinion overall, I feel we're positive about the school system. This is Highland Park that I'm talking about. We strive for diversity, excellence, acceptance. Again, what should be done? I think a better mentoring program, more community involvement through various outreach programs. And some other opinions about Woodward. I know with the graduation rate, maybe a higher emphasis on education, no more separation of class by communities, and the elementary schools are not distinguished differently. Right now, it seems like everybody says Highland Park is the behavioral school. Cedar Heights is more of your higher income. And then we have Horace Mann, and it has a large Hispanic community. So I wish that we would, more intertwine those together. With the standard correlation, it correlated with the standard by allowing me to gain an understanding, to demonstrate the capacity to promote future success and well-being, and realizing the particular feelings of what drives the community in which I'll become an administrator is essential for success, in any school setting. Relevance, it's extremely relevant to my future position as administrator. I know it's my job to realize the different community trends. It proved relevant because I understand that I must take many different things into account when making decisions and analyzing problems. I must be a member of the community in which I'm serving, and being on committees and boards will prove to all stakeholders that I'm present and willing to make a difference. As I reflect on this assignment, it's important that I realize that the community is the core of a successful school. Community members need to have a say in what is being done and what happens, and it helped me greatly, reflect on my political beliefs. Well, to be honest, I'm a Democrat in a highly Republican-red state. And I understand that I can't use this to shape my beliefs, and I must be cognizant of the feelings and beliefs of an issue. And these are my references. Thank you very much for listening.